Restoration Shaman is one of my favorite healing specs in World of Warcraft and patch 8.3 specifically. In this video I will offer you my nice and easy guide that will teach you everything you need to know. Welcome to my nice and easy Restoration Shaman guide for 8.3 and directed at solo casual players. To get the disclaimers out of the way, this guide is not pretending to be targeted at healing experts or those who wish the cutting-edge mythic raid progression with their guilds. This guide only expresses my personal opinion and feelings I have towards the restoration spec, how effective it feels, how fun is it to play, and what I personally do to make the gameplay of a Restoration Shaman most enjoyable. This guide is separated into a few little sections: pros and cons, talents, essences, azerite traits, healing logic and priority, and a couple of final tips. If you're new here, particularly warm welcome to you. My name is Gyro and I'm a casual WoW veteran, pushing Horrific Vision solo, writing guides for the average Joes and Janes of World of Warcraft out there, and trying to keep things simple and friendly, just how I like it. If this sounds like your cup of tea, please show your support by subscribing to the channel and liking the video. Now, let's move on to what I think about Restoration Spec and the specifics of how I recommend that you start playing it, before you work out all the kinks and decide what changes you want to make following this basic and very casually friendly template. I like playing Resto. My alt is not currently best geared for it, but that's beside the point. The spec itself feels quite solid, not majorly affected by any changes across the recent expansions, and remains effective in majority of situations that I personally find myself in. As with every class and spec, there are pros and cons that I'd like to highlight here. Pros: static AoE healing. By static I mean as long as the group doesn't run around too much and stays in more or less the same place, restoration shines. Generally, restoration is good at group and raid healing too, it's worth pointing out here. Shaman can heal the tank pretty effectively, but chain heal, healing rain and totems are by definition there to service a group of people rather than focusing one particular target. Cons: Shamans, I believe personally, lack dynamic AoE healing. As opposed to statically positioned AoE healing, something like Heroic Battlefront shows that it's harder for a Resto Shaman to keep up with their AoE healing spells and totems when the group is constantly moving and people are basically running away from you all the time. Extension to this first point is that any healing on the move is a little limited for the Shaman. Most of the healing spells have a cast time, and we only have one heal over time, the Riptide. Let's take a look at the talents. I won't bother reviewing those that I don't take to save us the time, plus I'm not a theory crafter. I'm a practical casual who is just sharing what works for him with you. Also, this is not intended to be a PvP healing guide specifically, so I will not go into PvP talents, I'm sorry. Let me know in the comments below if you'd like a quick video specifically about those, and I'll see what I can do for you. But I'm not a PvP healer. This is the main reason why I'm skipping those. So, the core talents are: in the row for level 15, I take Torrent. Riptide is your go-to heal all the time, and increasing its initial heal by 30% is a no-brainer for me. Row 30, I take Earth Shield. It protects the target and increases your healing on them. I won't speculate how awesome or not other talents are in this row, but will only tell you that once the Earth Shield falls off my focus target, who is usually the tank obviously, you as a healer can feel it instantly. The incoming damage skyrockets. In row 45, I take Spirit Wolf to make my movement and sustainability a little easier while I look after the others in my group. In row 60, I take Ancestral Vigor because it increases the heals and doesn't create an additional button for me to press. In row 75, I take Nature's Guardian because it's straightforward and passive. looking after my health while I try to keep the DPS hotheads in the group alive. Row 90 is a toss-up between Flash Flood and Downpour for me. Downpour is a relatively powerful occasional extra button to press, which I'm running at the moment, and Flash Flood is a passive that works well with other passive, Tidal Waves. For the last row 100 I take Ascendance, that I always forget to use, so please be better than me, guys. And it gives you an occasional very powerful boost to heals on a relatively low 3-minute cooldown. What's not to like? Now to the essences. As it's an alt of mine and I not normally heal, all my healing essences are at the green trash rank 1. So take whatever I recommend or run here with a grain of salt. It works well for me though, so as the initial healing template guide it should still be useful for you, I hope. When one has trash green essences, one isn't being fancy and runs what they have. Still, my preference and recommendation for you guys is to run Spirit of Preservation as the major power, because it gives you a very powerful channeled heal on a low 1-minute cooldown. When you're in blues and low item levels, having that button available feels great and saves the day on very many occasions. For the other green essences I run, they are very common Unwavering Ward, Well of Existence, and the poor man's choice, Crucible of Flame. Now on to Azerite traits. Because my gear on this Resto Shaman alt is still relatively crap, as I keep saying to you, I'll still only highlight the important or arguably game-changing talents that you should aim to pick up to boost your healing powers early on. So on my shoulders I have Swelling Stream, which makes my healing stream totem even more powerful. Then I have Spouting Spirits, which gives the Spirit Link totem a little bit more of healing power. And on my chest I have Turn of the Tide, which increases bonuses of the Tidal Waves passive by 5% and improves healing of the affected spells further. Overflowing Shores makes my Healing Rain more useful, giving it instant heal component. And Ephemeral Recovery gives me mana. Not much, but it's better than absolutely nothing when I go below 20% of my mana. And that's about all that I have to say on this little topic. Let's talk about how the healing process works for the Restoration Shaman. What could be loosely labeled as the priority system in which I'd recommend that you use your abilities. Point number 1. Put your primary target in focus by selecting the target and typing /focus in the chat and put your Earth Shield on them. We will go through the weak auras setup and macros very shortly, as they will help you throw your heals, apply Earth Shield and track how many stacks you still have on your focused target. In all the rush of Mythic Plus runs and other circumstances, this indicator becomes very handy, and you will see it in my UI very prominently all the time. Point number 2 are the primary healing spells that you will use depending on the circumstances that we'll quickly discuss now. Healing Wave is the cheapest heal that at my item level of around 435 heals for about 28,000, but has a slightly longer cast time. Healing Surge costs double of the Healing Wave, but is also a much quicker cast that heals the target for 30,000 at my item level. Not much more powerful, but much quicker to throw at your target. Chain Heal is a staple healing spell for Resto Shamans that's been around for ages, which heals the main target and jumps around to 2 other targets, reducing its potency by 30% with each jump. Riptide is our instant cast heal with the heal over time component, your go-to ability that you'll use on cooldown generally. And Healing Rain, our default AoE heal that has a longish cast time and that you'll be always annoyed about using in battlegrounds and battlefronts as you're farming better gear at one point, because your raid members will never stand in it and always run out of it. Now to totems. You have Healing Stream Totem, which is my personal favorite not because of how potent it is, but because of how cheap and passive it is, while still being quite helpful, especially when you back it up with the right Azerite traits on your gear. Healing Tide Totem is on longer cooldown but a more potent auto heal that should be kept for oh crap situations when the whole raid is taking heaps of damage and you'll know it will take you ages to top everyone up individually. So you'll drop that down and see yourself skyrocket in raid healing meters once every 3 minutes. Then there is also Spirit Link Totem that redistributes health of the group or raid members evenly, basically giving back health to those who are about to die at the expense of other group members donating some of their own health. Obviously useful and should be on your bars somewhere in close proximity for the "oh, that's real crap" situations, but I've used it maybe once in the whole time of me playing Resto. It's not to say that the totem is useless, it's just to highlight that it's very situational and I personally don't rely on it much. Now let's talk about weak auras, add-ons and macros. Let's start with weak auras. If you're not familiar with the add-on itself, this is not a guide for it. It is wonderful add-on and it can be very easy or very complex, so I'll just trust that you can search YouTube for a guide that will give you this add-on justice and simply tell you what auras I use. I'm a minimalist in my UI and add-ons and I only use what I need. So I've created an Earth Shield icon display that uses my focus target as its trigger and the unit value. And it really doesn't have to be more complex than that. As you've seen in the footage running in the background throughout this guide, the icon pops up when the focus target, usually a tank, is buffed and disappears when I need to reapply it. Now on to the macros. My macros are all pretty much the same and serve a very simple purpose. They allow me to mouse over my friendly targets and heal them without having to click on them or select them manually. This speeds up healing process dramatically, especially if you somehow not familiar with this method. Macro is conditional and smart, and it's always trying to detect if the target under my mouse pointer is friendly and then cast the primary spell. If there is no target under the mouse, it'll simply check if you are already targeting a friendly and then cast the same spell. Finally, if neither of those conditions are met, it will revert to whatever the default behavior of the spell is and cast it. It's very simple, very effective and highly recommended. I'm an old school player, so I use the good old Grid add-on that you're welcome to Google up, find on CurseForge, install and try out. This is not an add-on guide as already mentioned above, so I'll just leave it up to you to explore and look up more detailed add-on guides for Grid. As in essence, it's really simple and it only projects a neat grid of little squares or boxes representing your group or raid members. It makes targeting them much easier. Colors help you see what class they are, and small icons that appear sometimes tell you if they are under any particular debuff that needs decursing, for example. Grid is an absolute necessity for anyone who is going to make healing one of their regular gameplay activities. As far as the general healing tips are concerned to wrap this guide up, you should use your common sense and aim to either be always casting or repositioning yourself where your group or raid is about to move to in order to stop, drop your totems and start casting ASAP again. For mobility you have Ghost Wolf, which is pretty OP if you think about it and compare it to other classes that have nothing, aside from the Druid maybe. And everything else has a cast time, so you'll need to find your groove and rhythm where you cast between the moves basically. I think your ability to make the right judgment onto when to do what is what will really separate horrible healers from the good ones. And that's it, my friends. I hope you really enjoyed this guide, and if you did, if you like this kind of videos, please show your support and subscribe to the channel, like the video. Your support is not taken for granted and is much appreciated. More similar guides, more similar videos are coming your way. Your comments down below will tell me exactly what you want to see more of, what you want to see less of. Your feedback is very much appreciated, and I hope to see you here next time.